Okay, good afternoon. This video is in response to God is Our Protector's channel. Hello, Renata. I really love your videos. This is a video response for should she tell her son he's targeted. And I want to thank you for making this video. I was just thinking about a similar subject last night. You know, each night I get up in the middle of the night, usually around the same time, about 3 o'clock in the morning. And I think, my goodness, this is quite a mess that I'm in. And I'm just like puzzled and baffled and, you know the story. But anyway, I was thinking, what would it be like if I have a child, okay? But if my son was a targeted individual. And, it's a very terrifying situation to be in. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And it's kind of unfortunate that you and I are experiencing this in this part of our lives. I mean, we're like, what? We don't want to talk about our age, I guess. I'm more open about my age, but I'm about 40-something years old. And to be at this age and in this situation is absolutely terrifying. You guys, by the way, you gave me a reason to get dressed and do my hair today because, it's been, quite a lazy period for me. I've been walking around in my sweats and just looking like a complete mess. But thank you for doing this video, inspiring me and helping me get up out of bed. So, anyway, before addressing this serious topic of informing children if they are targeted individuals, I wanted to mention the importance of avoiding children, raising children that are naive in this world. I was quite fortunate to have a father that was quite the realist. I mean, he was an extreme realist. Growing up, I was able to watch movies like Roots, the Holocaust, movies that dealt with genocide, brainwashing, and this gave me an idea of how some people lived. Now, I was under the illusion that this was a very isolated group of people, and now, as I get older, I realize that this is, I hate to say it, but it's almost like the majority of who we are living amongst, and it's a terrible situation, and it's quite frightening. So, I was thinking, what would it be like to raise a child in this day and age? And I personally think that the world is an evil place to live in, and I don't think that I would produce any more offspring to live on this filthy planet. But first of all, I realize that childhood is a very precious time, and I will get to the answer to the question. But I do realize that childhood is a very precious time, and it should be filled with excitement and laughter. But in my personal opinion, children should be raised to be realist, and children should be warned that evil is lurking around in every corner. And, I was just thinking, how talking to Joel a while back, and we were talking about fairy tales, and the original fairy tales were quite frightening, quite disturbing. And, once Disney gets its hands on these productions, they tend to make everything sweet and cute and, take the tragic ending and replace it with something that's happy. And this sort of conditioning, or I call it programming, creates an illusion that all is well in this corrupt world. And, the sad part is, even though I was exposed to things like Roots, the Holocaust, movies relating to genocide, brainwashing, and so on and so forth, I was still also just as programmed by these television shows and watching fairy tales that were created by Disney and whatnot. And this did give me a sense of well-being in the world. Children need to be warned of the real nature of people. And as soon as they are old enough to comprehend, to talk and hold conversations, it needs to be introduced in small, gradual forms. So, like, for example, if a child is watching a TV show, even if it's G-rated, even if it has a happy ending, I think a parent should be sitting with that child and letting them know that there are alternative forms of that ending. That people really don't always live happily ever after, and people can intercept your life to where that doesn't happen. And children need to be aware of this. I am all for raising kids to be realist. I mean, I don't believe in hiding anything because you're damaging your child if they are allowed to live in this world with these blinders on that there's this all good in the world. It is not. It is quite the opposite. Just about everything that we've learned in our life, as I'm sure you can attest, has been a lie. And I would raise my child to be very open and aware of this world. Now, I'm getting excited about this. Children need to know that education alone does nothing for a person to get ahead. Now, mind you, I don't have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I don't have any of that, okay? But there's a lot of targeted individuals that are on YouTube making videos talking about how they have all these skills, all these qualifications, they have education that to me is just, phenomenal. Activism of care is one of them, and he seems to be struggling to have a job. And yet we're constantly being told to educate ourselves, pursue these goals. You have pictures of these universities, advertising online, people smiling, like this is going to guarantee your future. It doesn't. The fact is, children need to understand that no matter how much they go to school, what they learn, whether they have talent, skills, whatever they have to bring to the workplace, it can be erased just like that from a phone call, because anybody can just negate everything that you've worked for, and there's no questions asked. So let me tell you something. Everything that you've learned about getting an education and fine-tuning your skill and being job marketable, what they pump into your head is a goddamn lie, and people need to know that. Please excuse me for cursing. I really appreciate the fact that you are, to me, I really admire you, and I think you have a beautiful spirituality, and you radiate that, and I respect it. So if I slip up and say something wrong, please forgive me, because I do respect you. I really do. Yes, so another thing I think people need to know is that psychotic illnesses are far more common than we've been led to believe. Now, when you read a textbook on psychology, abnormal psychology, you get the impression that these are just isolated case studies. No. These people are walking around among us on a daily basis. And these people, and you need to be aware that people don't have your best interest at heart. No matter how many times they smile and say, how are you, and ask you that question like they really care, guess what? They don't care, okay? And they could very well be plotting your death or putting a knife in your back. Please forgive me if I sound like a pessimist, but I'm sure you can relate to what I'm saying. Now, to answer your question, yes, he needs to be told. And he needs to be told in a way that's not going to arouse any alarm or any fear. He needs to know that he's got a support system. He needs to know that he's got more than just, a few people that he can call and have shelter if needed, and that he's going to be taken care of. He needs to know that, okay? But he doesn't have to be warned in a way that's going to cause, mental disturbance, okay? I think that, yes, absolutely. And, he's quite fortunate to have a family member who's aware of what's going on, that he is indeed targeted. Many of us don't. Many of us are among our own family members, and they're targeting us, and they don't even think to tell us, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's just, I think that he's in a very fortunate position to have somebody inform him. And so, that way he can protect himself. Let's see here. He should also be warned about who he lets in his car. He should be warned about who he lets into his house, and how much he speaks to these people and what he tells these people. He needs to make sure that he doesn't disclose personal information. I mean, something that is small, okay, can be blown out of proportion. Like, let's just say, for example, he goes to a bar and has a drink with a friend. Well, guess what? Now he's an alcoholic. You know what I mean? It's crazy stuff. So he has to be careful, okay? He has to be careful about what he does, because people are just looking for bullshit. I'm sorry. I respect you. Sorry. They're just looking for reasons to, point the finger and cast blame, and looking for any reason to hate him. Even though it's nothing big, they will try to find something on him. So that's crazy. It really is crazy. You know what I mean? I don't even do anything, okay? And people hate my guts, okay? It's ridiculous. Okay, so anyhow, being a target individual doesn't mean he shouldn't socialize, but he needs to be careful. I also want to throw in a couple other things before I close up, okay? Everything that we are told is basically a lie. Everything from, our programming as children, watching these TV shows, we're told about the world is kind, it's quite the opposite. It just isn't. We've always been told that honesty is the best policy. I consider myself pretty honest, okay? But it seems as though those people who are dishonest in the world, they're approved of, and they get ahead in the world. You did a video that was similar to this, and I appreciate you doing it. I enjoyed it. I got chills. I got chills just watching it. It was awesome. I was going to say, education basically is worthless. Your career can be deleted just like that. So I'm actually quite glad that I don't have a bachelor's or master's degree, and I certainly am glad that my parents didn't shell out any money for it, because you know what? It would have been a waste of money, because guess what? You can make a phone call and just completely delete the person's career, apparently. I got to flip the page. This is quite a rant. The possibility of being a targeted individual, and these things I'm rambling off are things that I think everybody should know, okay? The possibility of being a target individual should be discussed in business classes, okay? Just because you go to a college doesn't prepare you or warn you or prepare you of what you really have to deal with when you get out in the world. So, you know, you might go to take courses in business, you know, business management or whatever, business administration. This needs to be talked about, okay? The other side, or I call it the darker side of human resources, or the darker side of business, because, you know, there is an administrative function, what do you call it, a regular process or protocol that should be followed, and a lot of people deviate from it. And why we're in this situation is because people have deviated from what was actually supposed to be established. This needs to be talked about in business classes. It needs to be told to everybody. And, you know, because people don't need to be naive. They don't need to sit around, walking around uninformed, thinking that life is a Disney fairy tale, because it's not. As you know. Yeah, people should know that their career paths are not actually within their hands. It's not within their control, because it could be negated by people who think that they're in power. The world is controlled by selfish people. And that sounds like, you know, you're so pessimistic, you know, because a lot of people believe, yeah, you have the control of your own life. Okay, this is true. This is true. But when people have a campaign against you, it makes it a little difficult to do that, as you know. So, absolutely, yes. He needs to be told. He needs to be told immediately. And I think, you know, discussions need to be taking place as to how and who he can talk to, who he can go to for, you know, comfort, shelter. You know, if he needs favors, whatever happens, he needs to know that he's supported, he's well cared for, he's well taken care of, and he's loved. And that's really important. So anyway, I loved your videos. I will be checking out your website, and I hopefully we can get a chance to talk, because, you know, I am so totally lonely nowadays. And, you know, I enjoy your videos. So let's keep in touch, and I enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work. Take care. Bye-bye.